In this video, what we're going to do is take a quick look at Maya, just like an introductory level of Maya. I'm going to shrink this a little bit so you can see everything. And then I'm going to right click and view and turn off all the icons on the desktop so that way there's nothing in the way there. Alright, so right here we have the interface of Maya. I'm not going to go into detail of everything, but I just want to give you a quick overview and how to navigate around this interface to be able to create something. This is not going to be a video on all the interface stuff or all the modeling tools or the special effects tools. Let's put it in context here. Let's make this video to where we're going to learn what we need to know about the interface to be able to model something that we can use to give to someone else or something like that. Okay, so that's the premise behind what we're doing today. So with that said, we don't really need to know much about this unless we're going to animate. Okay, let's throw some animation in there. So down here we have the timeline. And so this right here is when we're animating, we'll deal with that. And this bar down here tells us how much of the timeline we currently see. So you can see it goes from 1 to 120 here. And as you can see, this is from 1 to 120. If I were to drag this over, I can go from 1, as you can see over here, to 200. So if I were to drag this, as you can see, now my timeline's all the way at 200. I can even go in here and change this to a different number down here. And now you can see, even though I am currently at 200 and all I see 200 here, I can now drag it to 500. So when we're animating, that's what we're going to need. Over here, you have your buttons to be able to go forward or to go backwards and to skip ahead or to skip a frame. We have it to where it can continuously loop, the frames per second, that sort of stuff. And then we have our animation presets and stuff like that here. So all this down here is for the animation. Over here to the left is your outliner. If you don't have the outliner, you can easily just click on this button down here and you'll get your outliner. You can also, if you don't want the outliner right there, but the outliner is one of the most important things you're going to need, because as just get used to it being here, because as your scene becomes more complex, you're going to need to see the things in the scene in this list as opposed to trying to see them here, because some things are going to be hidden that you need to get connected to. And over here you have this, let's say this, the render settings in a way. So right here, if I would go to view, you can see I have my camera settings, and right now we're currently looking through this particular view, this perspective view. I can see down here it says perspective view. So whenever I'm doing this with this panel and that sort of stuff, I'm dealing in the perspective view. I can change the view by going here to panel, perspective, and as you can see, I have the view here. I can go to orthographic view, front, side, that sort of stuff, doing it here. But the best way to do that is not go up here and do that, but to make sure your mouse is right here in this view and hit the space bar. Just by tapping the space bar, it automatically goes to all 4 views. So you have your perspective, as you see down here. You have your top Y, front Z, and side. So whichever one I want, I just put my mouse over and I hit the space bar. And now I'm in those views. So I'm going to go to the perspective view. So I'm going to put my mouse over it and go to those views. Now the other thing you need to understand here in Maya is that you have your tools over here. These are the basic tools that you'll be using to manipulate whatever you have here. Over here at the top you have your menus, and all of these are going to be tabbed menus, and these menus will depend actually on the person using Maya, because you can actually change these menus, add things to these menus. So sometimes you might be watching a video and they have something in their menu only because they created that menu item and they put it there. So don't get all frustrated when you're doing videos and someone has, like, let's say in the render, they got some other special render thing there. It's because they changed it and they put it there. Now over here, if I go to rigging and effects, you'll notice none of this changes down here, but the menu up here changes. So if I were to go to modeling, as you can see, these last few over here change for modeling, for curves, for meshes. If I go over here for rigging, now I have my skin, my deformers, my constraints, my controls, cache and all that sort of stuff. So this menu selection here will change what you get here. So let's say if I'm modeling, well, I'm going to go ahead and click on that to modeling. So I have all the modeling components here. Now, finally, what we're going to look at is how to save this. So in Maya, the best way to prepare your scene is to create a project. Okay, so that way you have all the structures and everything in place. So if I were to go here to File and I were to go here to Save, let's say, I'm going to save this scene. Now, it's jumping to Program Files, Autodesk, Maya 2019, and that's not really where I want to save my stuff, because think of Maya as the project files all work together in a way to where you're going to want them together all the time. You don't want to just take a scene and just save it by itself, because you may have some images or some textures or whatever that's part of your scene. You might have some other objects that's part of your scene that you're going to want to keep in the same file structure. So the way we're going to do that, we're going to go to File and we're going to go to Project Window. Now this project window is automatically going to create these folders for us. You can even add the folders. So right now this is where it's going to save that folder. If you go ahead and click on New, maybe I don't want it in there, click on New, then you can change where you want that folder saved. Okay, and so maybe you will save it wherever you want, but this file structure will be there. Okay, once you do that, I already have a folder structure. You accept. Now you go back and you set this current scene to that project. So you go find that project, you find it, right? And I go to Tribe Cloud, whatever yours is, and you'll see all those folders that it had, and then you'll say set, like that. So now when I go to File and I go to Save Scene, you'll notice now it opens up that folder, and now all I have to do is click on the Scenes folder and save it there. And that's how we set up our document, our saved document and our project folders. I'm not going to save this because I don't want to save it. I'm just going to go through the whole process with you guys of developing something. So let's say I just want a box or something like here, and I want to manipulate that box. Well, I could go here to Menu and Objects and all that sort of stuff. The best way to do it, though, is to go here to Poly Modeling. Right now I'm in 2019, so it may look a little bit different. And I can choose any of these that I want right here. I'm going to choose this box, this cube. Now I can use my middle mouse button to scroll in, and now I can talk about this panel over here, because now that you see it's green, that means it's selected. So over here I can see the name of it is P Cube 1, and these are all the attributes to it. I can even change that to chair, whatever I want. Okay, so now I have that called chair. Now I'm going to go ahead and start manipulating this, but one thing I want you to be aware of is that I have this chair, this cube here. It's called chair, and as you can see over here in my outliner, I also have it here called chair. So I'm going to select it here. I can select it here, and I can also go and hit space bar and select it from any of these views here. So now I'm going to go ahead and manipulate this to be a chair. Now in 2019, there's an easy way to start cutting this up, and there's two tools we're going to look at right now. So I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to hold down the right mouse button. If you hold down the right mouse button by itself, it's going to give you this marking menu. But if you hold down Shift and hold down the right mouse button, it's going to give you a menu that's specific to this object. So now I want to do what's called an insert edge loop. So I'm going to move my mouse over here and then release it. Now I can drag and click where I want that edge loop to be. So I'm just dragging, see, where I want it to go, and I'm just going to release. That's where I want that edge loop. Now, in order for me to move around this scene, I'm going to hold down the Alt key and the left mouse button. I don't think I told you guys that a second ago. Maybe I was moving around. So the middle mouse button is to scroll in and out. Holding down the Alt key and the left mouse button will let you orbit like this. Now, if I hold down the middle mouse button and the Alt key, I can go ahead and drag it around like that. Those are the three main ones you're going to want to know. So now that I can orbit, I'm just going to go ahead and pull this part out. And the way I'm going to pull that out, so that was the edge loop tool. That's the first tool. And the second main tool we're going to want to use is the extrude tool. So I'm going to hold down the shift, hold down the right mouse button, and then I'm going to use this extrude, not extrude edge. So this brings us to another point. So extrude edge comes up here because right now I'm in edge mode. And how do I know I'm in edge mode? Because I can see the edges and I can select the edges. As you can see, I'm going and cut those edges, but that's not what I want. So I want to be able to manipulate this, to be able to change the mode and to move this around and maybe resize this. So first of all, in order for me to manipulate this and move it around, I'm going to use the W key to translate it. And I can hit Control Z to put it back. I'm going to use the E key to rotate it, and I can rotate it on any axis, as you can see here. Control Z, Control Z. And then I can use the R key to scale it. So on any of these axes represent the axes X, Y, Z axes. And as you can see down here, they give you the color scheme down here. So in the middle, I can scroll I can scan, resize everything. Over here, I can resize only on that axis, and so on and so forth. So that's the first thing. Now the next thing is I need to go ahead and change the mode that it's in. Right now it's on this edge mode. Now with the edge mode, I can select different components like the edges. So if I hit W and select the edge, it'll move. But now what I can do is hold down the right mouse button and put it in face mode. And now you can see I can select the faces. Right mouse button, edge mode. Now I can select the edges. Right mouse button, hold it down, vertex mode. Now I can select these vertices. Right mouse button and vertices face, and so on and so forth. But here's the three you're going to need. You're going to need the edge, the face, and the vertex mode. So that's all you need. So I want to extrude. And remember when I did it before, it said extrude edge. I don't want to extrude an edge because that's just going to extrude a line. So I want to extrude a face. So I'm going to right click on here, hold down shift, right click, and I can see it says extrude vertices because I'm in vertices mode. So I have to right click and go to face mode, and now I'm going to select this edge, and then I'm going to hold down shift, right click, and extrude face. And as you can see now, I can extrude that face. And you'll see this extrusion has multiple cuts in it automatically. Now that's because this thing pops up and I can make those cuts, those divisions from here. So I'm just going to drag this backwards, put it to 1. Once you release it, then you don't have access to it as much. Although you could still have access to it by going here to the different components here, but I didn't really want to get into that. So just kind of understand that when you are doing this, you can go ahead and choose your divisions right off the bat, or you can extrude, or you can cut into these divisions. So I want to show you guys a little something that might throw you off. So right now I'm in face mode, right? And so if I were to hold down the shift and the right mouse button, I see the extrude, but I don't see the cut. So in order for me to see the cut, I'm going to have to hold the right mouse button down, and I'm going to have to go to object mode. Now if I hold the shift down and right mouse button, you can see now I can see the insert edge loop. And now I can go ahead and put the edge loop to where I want. So basically those are the things that you need to go ahead and get started and actually start creating something. Let me give you a tip here. I'm going to go to face mode. Let's say if I wanted to create a hole here, or let's say an indentation, I'm going to select on that. I'm going to shift and right click, extrude face. I'm going to click this once. See, right now you see that there's no middle button here. So I went into, right now I'm into, this gives me all the modes. I have scale, I have translate, I have rotate. So what I want to do is click on this once, and then I'm going to click on the middle, and I'm going to push it in like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit G, and what that's going to do is that's going to make it do the last function that I did, which was extrude. So if I hit G, it goes to another extrude. So then I can push that extrude down. Let me put this down to 2, as much as I want. So as you can see, I don't know what kind of seat this is. It's not. It doesn't cost that much, but I'm thinking about charging like $1 million for this, because normally seats kind of come up and this seat goes down. So as a matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna want to put a spike here, because if you sit in this seat and you get a spike, that's gonna be extra. Okay, so you owe my company a little bit extra for this. So now I got that spike in that seat. So go ahead and sit in that seat. All my guests gets to sit in this seat. So let me say if I wanted to, I'm gonna extrude this here. Actually, I want to resize this, but I only want to resize this part. Let me give you an example. I'm gonna right click and go to object mode. If I hit R, you notice how the whole thing resizes, but I don't want to resize everything. I just want to resize this part right here. I want to push that in. So if I were to go to right click and face mode, this is going to be a problem, because if I hit W to move it, you see only that part's moving and it gets all weird like that. So this is where we're going to need the vertices mode, because I'll just select all those vertices, and I want to make sure I select all of them over here. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to hit the space bar. I'm going to go here to the front, and as you can see, this part's here, and I'm going to right click, hold that down, hit vertex, and I'm going to select all of these vertices here, and then I can push them in however I want. I can actually go here and push that in, and then go here and push that in. Now when I come back here, as you can see, it's smaller and it's not, you know, distorted or anything. I can even go up here to vertices mode. I'm going to select these vertices on top here, and then I'm going to hit R, and then I'm just going to push those in, something like that. And now I want to see this in a different view. Okay, so I want to see this as if it was smoothed out. Okay, so in order to do that, you can hit the 3 key. Now you can see how that would look when it's rendered smoothed out. That doesn't look like a seat at all. I actually didn't even want all of that all structured that way. So the way we want to do that, and this is why I'm going to hit 2 so I can see the outline of that. This is why you want more than one. You want to fortify the edges. You want to make sure the edges are strong. Right now these edges are weak, so this is why it contorts like this. So in order for me to fix that, I'm going to hit 1 again. I'm going to shift right click, and I'm going to hit insert edge loop, and I'm going to put an edge loop down here at the bottom to make that keep its shape. Okay, so now when I hit 3, you'll see that that bottom now keeps its shape. If I wanted this part to keep its shape, I want an edge loop here. So again, I'm going to go ahead and insert that edge loop here and insert an edge loop here. I want some separation, so don't put it right on the edge. You just want a little bit of separation. So now you can see that we were able to get that there, and maybe I'll put an edge loop at the top here. There we go. And then one in the back. So now I'm going to hit 1, and now you can see even when it's smooth, hit 3, even when it's smooth, it now keeps its shape. So these are the basic tools that you're going to want to use to go ahead and get started in Maya. We went over a quick overview to get started in Maya to be able to create something. And now I think the last task that we had was to be able to animate something, right? Okay, so let's say if I have this object right here. I already called it chair. So I already called this chair. I want to animate the chair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this chair. And the first thing actually I want to do, I want to go up here to delete type by history. Now right now it has all of this history connected to it, all these things connected to it. And before I start animating, I really don't want all those things connected to it. So I'm going to select the object. I can go here to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to edit, and then you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't see it there, then what you could do is you can go to delete by history. And if you don't and then you can go down here to delete type by history right here, and then it'll clean everything out. Now the next thing I want to be able to do is set this in a particular position. So I'm going to set it right there, right on the ground level. So I'm scrolling in. I want it right there on the ground level. All right, so I have that there, and now I want to, right now, as you can see over here, this chair's y-axis is 0.527 above the ground, but I want this to be 0, 0, 0. So whenever I move my chair and then I put it back to 0, 0, 0, I'm going to want it right here in this spot. So in order for me to do that, I can go over here to where you see freeze transforms. I can just click freeze transforms, and now you can see it's 0, 0, 0. Meaning if I were to move this chair around in different places and I said, you know what, I want to put it back to its origin, all I got to do is go 0 and 0 like that, and it'll go right back. Now let's say I'm far away from this chair and I want to know where that chair is. Well, there's an easy way for us to discover where this chair is. I'm all the way over here, I'm in this massive scene, and I want to be able to find my chair. So I can go here to the outliner, click on the chair, and hit F. And as you can see now, put my mouse over here, and then I hit F, and then it'll go right to the object that you want to find. If you've ever used Unity, you'll notice that Unity actually copies a lot of the things that Maya has done. And this is why it's easy for people to come from Maya into Unity. So if I were you and you were used to Unity, just come into Maya and just try some of the Unity stuff inside of Maya, and vice versa. Okay, so now that I have this, I want to go ahead and animate this. So right now I'm going down here to this timeline, and I'm just going to push it all the way to 0. You can drag it. So if I were to just drag this with my left mouse button, I can drag it to 0, or I can just go here and put it to 0 or 1. Right now it's at 1, so I'll leave it at 1. So I'm going to want, the easiest way to animate is to click on this button right here. Now what this button does is auto keyframe, and that's what it will do. It's going to automatically create a keyframe every time I move this particular object or any object in the scene. So now what we have to do is we have to go to animation tab here, because technically what we have to do is we have to set a keyframe before we even are able to use the auto keyframe. So there's a couple of ways we can do that. Actually, I can go right here. I can right click on that, and I can say right here. So we can do key all keyable. So I just selected that. Now, if you now look at the timeline, you'll see that there's this little red bar there. That means there's a key there. That means, let's say if I move this over here. Okay, as you can see, it's now setting it to that on that key. If I move this, now I'm moving my timeline over here to 55, and then I move my chair. Now if I drag it back, you'll notice now, as you can see, it's animating left and right. Now in the middle of this, maybe I just move it over here. Now it's gonna interpolate all these things. So now as you can see, it's going between all of those. And if I go all the way back here, I'm just gonna make it come up, and I'm gonna hit the R key, the E, and I'm just gonna rotate that around. And as I'm doing this, you'll see that now my attributes over here have a red box next to them, plus it shows the ones that's being, the extra red ones are showing the ones that's actually being keyed. So now when I scroll, you can see there's my animation. So we were able to learn a little bit about Maya, the interface, create some kind of chair, learn a little bit about the animation, a few other things about Maya that kind of confuses people when they first get started. So hopefully this video was helpful to you. Make sure you share this video and like the video, and put your comments in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time.